Hello, my name is Arif Irfanullah. I have been helping candidates prepare for the CFA exams for over a decade now. And in this brief clip, I'm going to talk to you about the Level 2 exam, and then I will share some thoughts on how you can get started with your preparation. First of all, since you are listening to this presentation, I'm sure you have cleared Level 1, and I want to congratulate you. This is a significant accomplishment because of several reasons. One reason is that we have roughly a 44% pass rate for Level 1. So obviously you are among the 44% people who took the exam and passed. But this 44% number is somewhat misleading because there are many people who sign up for the exam and then they drop out because they find the studies too difficult or they might have other reasons for dropping out. So clearly you went through and you studied, and then on exam day there are some people who just don't show up. So you studied, you showed up on exam day, you took the exam, you did well and you passed. So I want to congratulate you. You deserve a pat on the back. But now, having congratulated you, I want to mentally prepare you for Level 2. Level 2 is actually much harder than Level 1, and it is like climbing a mountain. So you need to be mentally prepared that the amount of effort that you need to put in for Level 2 is going to be more than what you did for Level 1. Once you are done with Level 2, you'll need to do Level 3. We will talk about Level 3 after you successfully clear Level 2. And then once you are done with Level 3, that's your final hurdle, then you just need to get sufficient experience and you will have your charter. So keep that end goal in mind, but right now our focus is going to be on Level 2. So let's talk a little bit about the exam format. As with Level 1, each session is now 2 hours and 15 minutes. So one in the morning, one in the afternoon. But the difference between Level 1 and 2 is that at Level 1, you had individual questions. So some information and then questions, some information and then questions. With Level 2, we have case studies. These case studies are also called vignettes. So there is going to be some information in the form of a case study, and then we will have some MCQ questions based on this vignette. So the structure is different. This means that you have more reading to do. You need to understand a scenario and then answer a few questions which might be related to each other. These questions, though, are still in multiple choice format. When you get to Level 3, then there will also be some essay response questions, but at Level 2, we have MCQ questions only. In terms of content, the material builds on Level 1. So we have the same 10 topics, but I feel that the material is more quantitative. And that becomes obvious when you look at the readings. So over here, I'm showing you all the readings from Level 2. Notice that we have the same 10 topics. So we have ethics, quant, economics, and so on. So I'm sure you are familiar with these topics. But if you dive in, notice that with economics, we have currency exchange rates, understanding equilibrium value. So this builds on a Level 1 reading on currency, but here there will be more valuation related material. If you look at equity, notice that there are several readings here based on valuation. If you look at derivatives, there is a greater focus on pricing and valuation of forward commitments and then valuation of contingent claims. So I feel that Level 2 is more quantitative. It is also more rigorous and takes the same topics that you've seen before, but there is more depth. Over here, we have a high-level comparison between Level 1 and 2. In terms of learning outcome statements, we have fewer learning outcome statements at Level 2. We have fewer study sessions, fewer readings, fewer practice problems. But this can be somewhat misleading because there is a lot more information and a lot more rigor in these fewer readings and fewer pages. And that is obvious when you look at the number of pages of practice problems. So with Level 2, the problems are more difficult. So you need to solve questions that are more involved. It requires you to do more work. So in that sense, I feel that preparing for Level 2 will take you more time than what you spent on Level 1. Here we look at the curriculum distribution by topic. So these are the 10 topics. The exam weight is quite similar for all the topics. So ethics is 10 to 15%. That actually is the highest. There are a few other topics which are in the 10 to 15% range. So ethics, economics, equity, fixed income. So all these are in the 10 to 15 range. There are other topics like quant, which is in the 5 to 10% range. So roughly most topics have the same weight. This is different from the way CFA Institute did this in the past. In the past, there were certain topics like equity, which had a much higher weight compared to other topics. But now the weights are much more balanced across the different topics. CFA Institute, in its summary statistics, also gives us some more information about what percentage of study sessions we have in ethics as well as other topics, what percent of readings are in each topic, what percent of learning outcome statements are in each topic, and what percent of pages are in each topic. Now, with level 1, I'm sure you are familiar with the concept of using ratios to analyze information. So I have created the simple ratio, which is exam weight. So that's this column divided by this last column, which is percent of pages. Now, with a little over 3,000 pages, 1% of the pages means about 30 pages. So with ethics, with 30 pages, which is approximately 1%, we cover 1.72 of the exam weight. With quantitative methods, on the other hand, 1% of the pages, or roughly 30 pages, gives us only a 0.63 coverage. So this is just given to you as a matter of interest. When you sign up for the Level 2 exam, you get access to CFA Institute's learning ecosystem. At the heart of the learning ecosystem is the curriculum, and this curriculum is similar to what you've seen at level 1. The curriculum has explanatory content, examples, and practice problems. There is a lot of material to read. The examples and practice problems are extremely useful. Now, in a separate video, I will talk about how to study and how to use the curriculum, but the point is that to pass the level 2 exam, you need to master the curriculum. So that is at the heart of the learning ecosystem. Now, the learning ecosystem also allows you to create a study plan. You have a choice as to whether you create an adaptive plan or a structured plan. My recommendation is that you try the adaptive plan. This adaptive plan will make you take a pre-test first, and based on this pre-test, a baseline is established. And then after that, your plan is adapted or adjusted based on your strengths and weaknesses. The structured plan helps you keep track of how much time remains till the exam and also makes suggestions to complete certain activities each day. So again, my recommendation is use the adaptive plan, but you can try both and see what works better for you. You also get access to other tools. So for example, with each reading, you can rate your confidence. So that gives you a sense so that allows you to track where you stand on different readings and different topics. There is a performance tracking mechanism based on how you do on various practice problems. And these practice problems are in addition to what you get in the curriculum. So at the end of every reading, there are practice problems. And then in addition to these practice problems, you will find more practice problems for every topic. These are available through the learning ecosystem. There are mock exams. So CFA Institute makes 3 full-length mock exams available. These should be done towards the end of your preparation. There are flashcards. There is a game center which makes your studies more interesting. And then there is also a discussion board which allows you to interact with fellow candidates. I would highly recommend that you spend a little bit of time going through this learning ecosystem and make the most of this material. So keep in mind that there is no additional cost associated with this learning ecosystem. If you want to buy a physical hard copy of the curriculum, then for that you need to pay more. But the e-book version or the online version, that is part of the ecosystem. Okay, now I'm going to say a few words on how to get started. The first thing you need to do is create a high-level study plan, and an important aspect of this study plan is the sequence, more specifically which topic or set of topics you will start with. Here, I strongly recommend that you start with a topic that you find relatively interesting and one that you find somewhat easy compared to the other topics. So, for example, if you like economics and you were comfortable with the level 1 reading on currency, then start with economics. If you are more comfortable with financial reporting and analysis, then start with FRA. I have seen students who simply start with quant but find it extremely difficult and then they get disheartened, and I don't want that happening with you. If you get off to a good start, that will really help you with your level 2 preparation. Also, figure out how many hours you can spend per week, and then your study strategy in terms of whether to do questions after every reading or whether to finish a topic, that also needs to be established. But that is something I will talk about in more detail in a separate video where I discuss how to prepare for the exam. Right now, I just want to make sure that you get started, and I would recommend that you start your level 2 studies as soon as possible. At a high level though, with respect to your plan, you need to have several months of active study. So what I mean by active study is that you are doing a given reading, you go through certain content, and then you do some practice. And typically the best practice is the examples within a reading. Then you do some more and then do more practice. And then at the end of the reading, you do some practice problems. So you do this across different readings. When you get done with a topic, you do an exam for that topic and move on. So I would recommend that this active study phase gets done about 2 months before the actual exam. Then you have some time to revise. I'm sure you will forget material as you move along. So if you start with economics and 2 months later when you are doing equity, for example, you will probably forget some content over here. So not only is it important to constantly revise earlier material, but there should also be a specific part of your plan that includes revision of all the material that you've studied. And then in the last couple of weeks, you should be working through several mock exams, memorizing formulas, and so on. I call that the final review phase. And then you have your exam. So that's a high-level plan. I will talk in more detail about how to prepare for the level 2 exam in a separate video. So that is it for now. The key to success, as I keep saying, is practice, practice, practice. Study hard, practice a lot, and you will be able to clear the level 2 exam.